see a ballot in your hand, that means you're judging. Let's scoot over so we can all have room. Okay, maybe how does this work? Am I on the front?
Yeah, you can right now. You just start.
Okay, that I can do, it's just,
And then you just reset.
well, what, my problem is we're gonna have to get to the different modes that I'm not sure, you know, which is which.
Like three, so we can just keep cycling and find the right one. But it is confusing because one of them is like timer and also zero on it. So that's down.
They just wanna challenge us as much as they can, don't they? I'm Sharon. Hi. I don't know if you know her or not. One of my best friends is Norma Sork. Yeah, did you know her?
Yes, sure.
Okay.
I got fiddles. Fiddles.
You got it. I probably won't remember it, but at least for right now, I've got it.
Yeah.
I was so glad because Nora emailed me and she said that she was sending a couple of letters over here, so. Are you from Nazareth? Okay. Because I went over and did a training with Mama a couple of years ago.
で、俺日本犯人やった。本当さん
So they tried to make sure I saw as much of the area as I possibly could. Went to Mass, no, but went to Bethlehem, Jerusalem, and Ramah. I felt happy with both of them. You know, but then I've been prejudiced. Nora does a good job of arguing your cause. We're just telling the judge. Just say, I judge the sheriff. I'm from the United States, Arizona and Arkansas.
いや、なんとなくあれを入れる。セカンドでさ、さっきの話を入れる可能性が。
Probably because there's.
Excuse me?
画面下に。
Can you put in the audio?
さっきの母の最後のやつをタイムスタイルしてる。
Our oldest one is going to be here currently.
Yes. We are ready whenever you are.
Okay.
I'll be timing. I will give you the last 5 minutes down, okay?
Okay.
And this is my half, and this is stop, okay?
Can I stop?
You may.
Okay, let me start my speech. This debate is about what extent online free speech can restrict sovereignty. With the governments that believe in premise as a stance, online free speech is a universal value and fundamental human right, that any states cannot infringe it. Therefore, liberal democracy has a due responsibility to protect it. We will define the motion. The term internet censorship means all internet censorship systems taken by the government. But actually, we assume the context of this debate is like the liberal democracy, like US and UK, helps the citizens in non-democratic countries, for example, like China and Libya, to access liberal websites such as Facebook or Twitter. We have three arguments. Argument one: why and when the state which protects online free speech can restrict the sovereignty of the country which restricts it. We have two reasons. Number one, why? Freedom of speech is a universal value and a fundamental human right, and it also underpins most other rights and allows them to flourish. The right to speak your mind freely on important issues in society, the right to access to information, and the right to hold the powers to be accounted, plays an vital role in the healthy development process of any society and any politics. And this is necessary to protect minorities and eradicate any discriminations and cultural pressures. So no country should infringe this important right, and liberal democracy has a due responsibility for actively protecting this universal and fundamental right. In the real world, for example, many constitutions generally protect the freedom of speech and the right to know, and so on. So then, in this state, we have to note the uniqueness of the internet, anonymity and the borders. On the internet, we can talk really freely about anything, talk about anything freely, actively, and worldwide, much more than in the real world. Because the internet society is the most liberal and borderless and diverse space in which we can participate in anytime and anywhere. So, and also we can talk anonymously. So liberal democracy has to protect free speech on the internet all the more. Number two, when? Sovereignty should be limited, especially when the regime doesn't represent the will of citizens, because the free speech is restricted, though the citizens want to appeal to the regime by it. Such regimes lack of the authorities and legitimacy because they ignore principle that states must reflect the will of citizens and exist to put it into practice. And in such regime, the citizens have very important power to, the citizens have very limited power to change the regime, so other outsiders have to help them. So we can say liberal democracy have a responsibility for actively circumventing internet censorship to such regimes. It is the principle of any humanitarian intervention. Please imagine examples of humanitarian intervention, such as intervention to Somalia, Cambodia, or Libya, and so forth. Actively circumventing internet censorship is the expansion of these interventions. That's why the sovereignty should be limited. Considering these points, online free speech should be extended to the restriction of the sovereignty. Now, argument 2, effective deterrence against oppressive regime. There have been and are some oppressive regime, for example, Nazi in Germany and North Korea and Libya. They blindly made their own way and made miserable and horrible past. Who was sacrificed were always citizens. This was mainly because the leaders and citizens didn't have wide insight and cool-headed sense. The citizens couldn't recognize the situation and get information of other country. The most effective and certain answer to what we can do to require wide sense and not to make this miserable past again is the internet. On the internet, many people who have differently and diversity, cultural, religious, and historical backgrounds exchange their opinions freely and give various comments about world affairs. So internet can make our insight more wider. Therefore, the leaders and citizens in oppressive regime will be able to think twice about the situation they were in, and they can get new choices about direction in the future. As a result, we can stop oppressive regime doing luckless things and without intruding or one-sided opinions, and it prevents states from getting oppressive. We can get effective deterrence against oppressive regime by taking this plan. Argument 3, internet society more equal. Now, there is a digital divide. Some of the reasons are political and economical issues. Economical issue is improving because the cost to use the internet infrastructure is getting lower as it becomes widely spread. And on the other hand, political issue is still the main. So people in the country which censor the internet can't express freely to other countries and vice versa. The status lacks of the equality to each other. This plan solves this divide. Circumventing internet censorship costs lower than any other solution. And after taking this plan, those who cannot get information about liberal democracy and liberal contents due to the government's restriction will be able to know that. And those who live in the liberal country will be able to access to them. So digital divide will be solved, and more people will be able to participate in the internet. So it will be more diverse, and we will be able to broaden our mind. For this reason, actively circumventing internet censorship is a legitimate polling policy too. We strongly believe. Thank you.
Okay, I'll run it and I'll give you a countdown as far as minutes, okay? One minute, yes. Two minutes used.
So thank you for your speech, and I'd like to have some small questions to ask you. First, you say that this policy will ensure the people's freedom of speech, right?
Yes.
So without the internet, then people have no freedom of speech at all.
Sorry?
So do you think that without the internet, people have no freedom of speech at all?
On internet society?
Mm-hmm. So do people have freedom of speech without the internet?
No.
Okay, next. You say that if the insiders have limited powers to change the government, then outsiders will have to help?
Yes.
So do you think that outsiders have the rights to interfere with the government of that country?
Yes, because the free speech is restricted, and the people want to appeal to the regime, but they can't appeal because the free speech is restricted. So the other outsider have to help them.
Okay. So whenever the free speeches are restricted, then outsider will have a right to just come in and do whatever they want.
Yes.
Okay. So you say that this will prevent the states to become more aggressive. Oppressive.
Yeah.
So how could this policy prevent the states to become more oppressive?
Pardon?
How will this policy prevent the states to become more oppressive?
So what? So
Okay, so don't forget about this question. Are those countries preventing people from getting to the internet?
yes.
So it's in the laws of that country to prevent people to get to the internet, right?
It is true, but I said the infrastructure is internet infrastructure is improving, so I don't care about
Okay, okay. So do you think that people in those countries will be punished if they try to circumvent internet censorship?
Sorry?
Will the people in the countries, will they be punished if they circumvent the internet censorship? Okay, so thank you. Have any more questions?
Nói như mình đã nói như con đã nói. Một này, không có internet, không có. Hai
1 minute, yes.
30 seconds.
Không có code cái gì này. Cái câu mà không bọn em mà không biết nó là
다시.
đấy cái code câu đấy nhá. Như là ra là số quyền hoặc là mình đưa cái chắc chắn nó mới là French states become more oppressive so nó không giải thích là how và hơn nữa
30 seconds, yes.
30 chúng nó bảo là sẽ prevent state khỏi become oppressive đúng không? Thì chúng nó không giải thích how khi mình đã chứng minh trên này là nó sẽ tiêu chí là tiêu chí trên này của mình là nói là nó có thể khiến mọi người kiểu cáu hơn và giết chóc mọi người nhiều hơn. Chị có cái
Hello everyone, I'm the first speaker of the negative team and I would like to do two things. One is to refute what the first person of the affirmative team has said, and the second one is to talk about our cases. Firstly, they say that without internet they will not have freedom of speech, which is wrong. We have freedom of speech without internet. Secondly, they said the outsider have the right to help the people in oppressive regimes, but according to the UN, no country can interfere in the other country's business. That every country has its own law and policies and decisions, and other countries can't just jump in and break those laws. And thirdly, they talk about by circumventing internet censorship, it will prevent oppressive regimes from tying their people, and they don't explain how it will be reduced. But here in our case, we will explain that the oppressive regimes won't reduce their rope around their people, but they will do more. We disagree with the motion that actively circumventing internet censorship is a legitimate foreign policy tool for 2 reasons. One is that it's an unjustified policy, and secondly, it has unwanted consequences. Firstly, it's unjustified because they do it in a sneaky way. It's not official. Like they tell people they have secret way to tell people that those people are in an oppressive regime. Like they have promotions in secret organizations without the acknowledgement of the government, and it is not accepted by the government of the oppressive regimes that another government can interfere into their country business. So it violated the laws and policies and decisions of that oppressive regimes. And the democratic city, which is helping the people in oppressive regimes, actually is not being democratic because they tell oppressive regimes what to do and what to become. They tell oppressive regimes to become more democratic, and this is not democratic themselves. And they don't have the right to do that. They don't have the right to tell what a country can or cannot do. Secondly, there are unwanted consequences because when people try to use the programs which circumvent internet censorship in their country, they actually risk their lives because the oppressive regimes, they are already oppressive, and they will have ways to catch and to punish those people if those people don't do what the oppressive regimes want they to do. The people will have possibility to get caught and even killed. So oppressive regimes will be more tight on them, and it will kill the motivation of circumvent internet because the people in those regimes see that their people are being caught and killed because they circumvent internet. So they won't want to circumvent it anymore. Why would they risk their peaceful life to do something so unsure? They're not sure if they circumvent internet, if their circumventing internet censorship will succeed. So there's no reason for them to just not live a peaceful life in an oppressive regimes anymore, but circumvent internet and get caught and killed instead. So by the two reasons, which is this is an unjustified policy and it's caused more harm to people than good things, we think that people should not circumvent internet and should not follow those policy anymore. Thank you.
You ready for questioning? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. Go on down.
Okay, let me start my question time. First, you have 3 repetition from to our side, right?
Yeah.
Please tell me your third last repetition.
Tell you what?
The last repetition.
Is that you guys say that by circumventing internet censorship, it will the oppressive regimes will reduce their, I call it their rope around people, and they will reduce their rope around people, but you don't explain how how it will be reduced.
Okay, thank you. And okay, in your secondary petition, you talk about non-intervention law, right? Non-intervention law, right? So you say that one country should not interfere other countries, right?
It is according to the UN that if a country has
But do
its
you
own
know,
business-
in that same law, UN decide that if one country interfere its own citizens' rights, then other countries can interfere other countries. Do you know this?
Yes.
Then why should you say that no intervention law is important?
Well, the two laws important, but in our argument, we have said that because this do more harm than good to the people, so that our law should be more important.
So there are more harm than the benefit. So you think that we should not take this one, right?
Oh, it's the government do things good for their people, so if it do more harm than good, they should choose the good side.
And next about your argument, your cases. First case is this policy is unjustified, right?
Yes.
And what?
Because according to the UN, another country cannot interfere in other countries' business, so it's unjustified.
So unjustified. Okay, thank you. And next about your second case, you say that this one causes more harm, right? So more and more. So in oppressive regime, more and more people will be killed, right?
No, there is a possibility because it's an oppressive regime. So if people don't do what the government wants, they have a possibility of being killed and being caught and killed because they don't listen to the oppressive government, and that's what the oppressive government do. That's what I believe.
Okay, thank you for answering.
모를까?
2 minutes, please.
One use.
外からアプローチしてやらないといけないっていうのを言ってるわけでしょ。そこでね。
まだ発言しよう。読まなかったですね。
そんな。
アンジャスティファイドって聞くとこれ。アンジャスティファイドって言うけどさ、あんまり正当にないのにさ。
何か正当になるんだからアンジャスティファイドじゃないって。いやだから違う、アンジャスティファイドってアンジャスティファイド聞きて、アンジャスティファイドっていうのはノンインターベーションに反するからつってるように言うべきそうみたいな。
あ、そう。
冷静になれ。
スニーキーウェイツ。スニーキーウェイ。ノープロフェッショナル。
いやでもだって今聞いたらそれ答えたんだから、そういうことないでしょ。ロジックに対して切るようなモメンターションどうしますか？まだでしょ。そうだね。そうだね。それに対してちゃんと このディベートはインターネット上の世界についてのディベートで我々はオンラインフリースピーチについては使っているとしているとしている。わけわかんないことをそうやったら困るから。OK。で要はだから僕たちの最初の説明の項目と僕のアーギュメントなんか被ってるってことでしょ。
僕はアーギュメント1と
僕のアーギュメント1と俺たちの2つ目の価格が全く同じだってことだな。私もそこ合わせて発見した。
Green minute choose.
Sorry, one more minute, please.
네, どこの守ればいいんだっけ？フェン別にしてるよしかない。
初めにするしかなかった。なんで否定するのか、その理由について明確な理由がなかった。
4 minutes choose.
Okay, can I start? Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I start my second speech. First, I'd like to opposition side this rebuttal. Opposition side say people have freedom of speech not only on the internet, but also on this world, in this world. But please confirm this point. This debate is about online free speech. So judges have not to take 2 points. Attack to opposition side is first argument. Unjustified policy. This is unjustified policy. Please confirm our question. In international law, UN declared we can interfere another country's sovereignty if it invades the international law and invades fundamental human rights. Please confirm this point. And we say this point in argument 1 of the number 2 of argument 1, when we can restrict the sovereignty. Please confirm this point. Next, I will explain about argument 2 more easily. Argument 2. They didn't say they cannot understand how it happened, but by taking this plan, people and leaders, people in the oppressive regime will be able to know very liberal contents. So they can broaden our mind, their mind. For example, they can know there's a liberal notion all over the world. They can know. So people can can express and can think twice. So the government can get oppressive but easily. This one. This is a difference. About please confirm this point. That sovereignty is not absolute. Sovereignty is not absolute, and it has been formed through history to protect the citizens. So it is admitted only when it works for citizens. Please comment this point. So if the country, if the opposition regime invades their citizens' fundamental human rights, another can interfere that country. And about the opposition side's second matter, outside shouldn't do this. About this, basically, they should not this, and the oppressive regime should do this first. But please comment this point. But they doesn't. But oppressive regime restricts and invades their human rights. So there's no one who do this without outside. So outside should do this. And please comment this point. There's no attack to argument 3. Please comment this point. About and generally, they opposition sides didn't give us any reason to deny this plan. So they refuted in various ways, but they said the reason why they denied this plan is there is more harm than benefits. But their argument is based on this issue. But as I said about the international law, there is more benefit. Oppressive regimes have to obey international law. Okay. Thank you.
2 minutes, please.
Nếu mà làm cẩn thận từ thì sẽ là gọi
But this should be true.
てか、アウトサイド以外やる人は
time for the preparation?
I'm clicking it.
đây nhá, có một cái này là để bọn mình không bị
Despicable me.
risk seriously thì họ
紙には考える
Well, now, we are supposedly something like we started to think it's like we used to film school is going to do something on the internet and digital freedom and show it online. I think that they were just trying to, after a long day, they got someone to kind of relax and people would just kind of I think I'll have to go back to it. I hate to say Despicable Me is not one of those that's on my top 10 list. One minute used?
về việc Bởi vì nó là all censorship. Nếu mà là có ấy, thì nếu không thì tốt, còn nếu mà có là không phải. Thế ra nó là all censorship. Và all censorship tức là tất cả các bạn mong muốn thuộc kể cả hơn thì sao?
So you have to cut out policy to get that, right? Is that something that I do?
Biết là chúng nó là chúng nó là season
LD is, you know, it's policy. It's value.
Which is kind of confusing. 표면이 또 봐서.
mà có mình thì
Thank you. 2 minutes, please.
30 seconds thì nó hơi sẽ tiếp là
That's right. Keep me alive.
thì chúng nó hỏi cái đấy họ không là đấy thôi, từ đấy thì nó sẽ khó trở nên
2.5.
ở đây không là cái thôi để
Hello. So we would like to ask about your plan about your argument about equality. Can you tell us something about equality?
Should I say about equality at all? Now, people in the opposition regime that restricts the online free speech can't express others freely, as you know. We can know the
So you want
opinion.
people to know more about other outside and so that they feel equal to people.
Yeah, and also we can express to them.
So it feel like a citizen in the world.
Yeah,
Okay.
more equal.
So you talk about online speech, but we're talking about freedom of speech in general. So why don't you just talk about online speech?
I say I talk about freedom of speech in the argument one and in the number one of argument one. But after that, I say the uniqueness of the internet. So it means online free speech, the nature of online free speech.
So you talk. Do you just talk about oppressive regimes?
Yeah.
Just about in oppressive regimes that they censor internet, right?
Yeah. In definition, after definition, I say China or EU, and so on. I say
Yeah.
it.
Okay. So you guys just talk about oppressive regimes, but why do you talk about all censorship? Like America is not an oppressive regime, so it's.
I don't talk about that point.
You said all censorship, like all kind of censorship.
But the actual the aim of this debate, please confirm the aim of this debate. This debate is about existing for helping the people in the oppressed region. I say.
Yes, but
Another country doesn't censor the internet, and they censor the internet a little, but they don't restrict fundamental human rights. So we need to talk about it. We need not to talk about it.
so if you have to choose between good and harm, what will you choose?
Pardon?
If you have to choose between a good and harm, what will you choose?
Good. Maybe. But
You will choose good?
yeah.
Yes, okay. So if the people can live a peaceful life, is that what we aim for? Like to
Please confirm that after plan, circumventing the internet censorship is basement.
không có online mà không phải không có nghĩa là nhá, chúng nó bảo là this debate is only about online speech, đúng không? Nên là cái khoảng này không count. Trong khi nó có count, bởi vì là mình chỉ là chứng minh là không có internet, có freedom of speech. Đúng không? Chứ không có internet, không có internet. Có thể lấy ví dụ, for example, when you have invented cái này thì first one là một câu cho nó đỡ không bị được sản sinh. Hiểu ngay chưa ạ? Thì nó là
1 minute remaining.
How long was it remaining?
1.
okay, use it. Nhá, thì thực sự bỏ qua cái này thì cái đấy sau này. Đầu tiên nhá, nói từ cái việc là kiểu này để tự rằng cho nó là UN, thì bảo là nếu mà có vấn đề thì mình báo mình và mình đã chứng minh rằng mình và nó không có vấn đề rồi, nhưng mà nước khác thì đừng có mà sờ vào đấy. Tại vì bạn cũng nói về cái rules đấy, và tất nhiên countries khác thì cũng phải follow the rules đấy, nên là không phải là mình không quan tâm đến cái international rules. Đấy thì think about the situation they are in, xong tham gia cái gì họ chấm.
Half a minute left.
Okay. Xong rồi nó sẽ không có kết quả gì cả. Tất cả và cái prevent state becoming oppressive này thì cô nói rất rõ là nó sẽ oppressive hơn và thậm chí là khiến cho mình
Với cả chính ra thì mấy cái nước mà sau khi bỏ circumventing như Egypt với lại cái gì đấy nó hơi ít ta.
Nữa này, cái equality này nó là chỉ cái equality đấy nó phải là một cái gì quá sức quan trọng hết, bởi vì đâu phải là bây giờ people là của equality như nhau. Khái sẽ anh thích cùng mà drop và không phải là đâu đấy.
Time.
Dẫn chứng. Chỉ cần
Cái riêng cái gì thì cái riêng với cái gì đâu.
nó gọi là Hello, I'm the second speaker from the affirmative team, and I'd like to do two things. Firstly, I would like to refute the points of the negative team, and I'd like to reinforce our points. Firstly, I would like to refute the points of the negative team. Number one, they said that the UN have already stated about. The UN said that they stated that the UN said that the outsiders cannot intervene with other countries' policies, but we say that policy stated that the other countries can only intervene on one condition, that that countries violating human rights, and they did not prove the severe enough violation of those countries. Secondly, they also said that this debate is about online speech, but we say that without internet, there's still the freedom of speech to exist. And they said that, and also they say that okay, so countries have censorship to protect their people, and they also say in their definition that this includes all kinds of censorships. And so if all the countries censor, like for example, porn, like that's one similar thing that they all censor, then who are they to tell others to stop censoring it when they're the one who is already censoring it? Okay. And in the first class acts, they also say that. Okay. And in their speech, they said people know more, the country will be less oppressive. But we say that this act of circumventing the internet, it only makes those country to be more violent towards to be more oppressive towards their people, because if more people use internet, if more people circumvent the internet censorship, then the government can find more ways to punish them, and they will be more oppressive against their people. For example, you can have Egypt and Iran, like they censor the internet, and then the people in that country is living a miserable life. And they also said in their second cross-acts that China prevent people from getting access from Facebook, and that prevents the freedom of speech of the people. But we say online freedom of speech of the people. We say that China also have Weibo, and people can still express themselves, and they can still use their freedom of online freedom of speech. And now I'd like to reinforce our points. Firstly, we have 2 points. The first point is that this policy is not justified, and the second point is that this policy have unwanted sequences that does harm to the people. Firstly, this policy is not justified because it is sneaky, and because they don't officially state that they're going to do it. And if they want to prevent those countries from being oppressive, then why don't they just deal with the government, like officially? Why do they have to use ways to make the people in those countries commit crimes by going against the laws? And also, our second point is that there are unwanted sequences, because this policy will make the people go against the laws, and if it's like that, they're going to put into jail. And if you say that this will even just push for an even more autocratic government. They will have a tighter grasp against the people, because they want the people to think their way. They will like be more oppressive against the people. Thank you.
Do you want time?
No, we don't.
Good, because then we have 2.5 minutes.
Okay, I start my question time. I have some questions. Okay, at first, I want to ask you to, did you say the China has an online free speech, right?
Yes,
Why?
because they have Weibo.
Sorry?
They have Weibo. It's like a different version, a Chinese version of Facebook.
So, the Weibo is not censored?
Of course, because they censored Facebook, and so they put Weibo in.
Sorry?
It's like a different version of Facebook in China, a Chinese Facebook named Weibo.
So, please compare the Facebook and Weibo. Tell me the differences. There is no difference?
I do not use Weibo, but it's like people can still talk there. People use it like they use Facebook. It's just like a Chinese version.
So it is the dirty. This is dirty. The same system as the Facebook.
Pardon?
Is it dirty the same system as Facebook?
I do not use Weibo.
So don't you have any proof? It is free. Sorry. I mean, the Chinese people. Can Chinese people talk freely, anything freely, on anything they want to talk.
They use Weibo just like they use Facebook, and they talk as the people always use on Facebook. When you use Facebook, you tell me.
Sorry? I mean, can Chinese people talk freely? Anything about anything they want. So I mean,
as I just said, they use it as they use Facebook, and you know what people say in Facebook. I think they can in Weibo, but I don't know myself because I'm not Chinese. I don't live there. I don't use Weibo.
But I want the proof that Facebook and Weibo are the same. Are the same. Because in China, the internet is censored, so the Chinese people cannot reflect their own their own will. So, thank you.
Excuse me. What time do we have?
You have 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
Yep.
Thank you.
Very efficient. Unused. Two years to remaining.
Truyền đủ thì bảo.
Time.
Okay, can I start?
Uh-huh.
Okay, there are a lot of arguments in this debate, so I want to organize this debate. First, please confirm the motion. I think the opposition side misunderstand 2 points about the motion. First point is, what should we talk about this motion? And please confirm our first speech. This debate is about to what extent online free speech can restrict the sovereignty. Our first speaker says so, and our first speaker says that we assume that context of this debate is like liberal democracy like US or UK helps the citizens in non-democratic countries, for example, China or Libya, to access liberal websites such as Facebook or Twitter and so forth, we said. And so we talk about the online free speech, and before that, we have to prove why the free speech is important. So we talk the free speech's importance, and next we talk about online free speech, why online free speech should be protected, and why it is superior to the sovereignty. We proved. Please confirm this point, and this point is not attacked. Please confirm this point. Only they doubt this point. Please confirm this point. And next, second misunderstanding point is subject of this motion, or the who circumvent the censorship. I think opposition side said that people, those who live in the oppressive regime, circumvent its country's censorship. But please confirm the motion. Actively circumventing internet censorship is a legitimate foreign policy too. So this motion subject is the country, like US or UK. So liberal democratic country, we say so, and this point is not attacked. So this is a consensus of this debate. So so the opposition sides, what opposition sides have to prove is this point, not about the people in oppressive regime. Please confirm this point. There are two misunderstandings. And next, I summarize our arguments. First, they say that China has online free speech, but please confirm that if the Chinese people want to look up the Tiananmen incident on internet, they can't find it because China censored this point. Like this, China actually censored the internet. So liberal democratic country should circumventing this internet censorship actively and help the Chinese people. Why the liberal democratic country should circumvent? We proved it at our argument 1, number 2. Please confirm this point. Yes, actually, the people who live in the oppressive regime intend to circumvent the censorship. They may happen to some cruel thing. So the country, and so another country have to help. Please confirm this point. And I think this point is not attacked too. And what opposition sides have said is this plan is not unjustified because the UN declaration. And second point is this plan causes more harm than now. But if the opposition side think United Nations declaration is important, as we said, in the same law, United Nations decide one country can infringe other countries if that country infringe its country's own citizens, or it means that means if that country infringes the fundamental human rights, and we say fundamental human rights includes the free speech. This point is not attacked too. So this is a consensus too. So if the United Nations declaration is important, they opposition side think, then they have to affirm this motion. Please go on this point. And also there are more harm than now, they said, but we prove that, please confirm our argument too. We prove that this plan will become deterrence. Please confirm this point. So please vote for us affirmative. Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I am the last speaker of the negative team, and I'd like to say something before I come to the clashes of debate today. First, they say that we don't get their points about the motion. Well, actually we do. But the thing that we're trying to tell here is that even if it's other countries who actively circumvent internet censorship, the people inside those oppressive regimes still suffer. And the second is that we do get that we're talking about online speeches in this point, but we're just trying to prove that without those online speeches, these people in the oppressive regimes still have their freedom of speech. One more thing, you say that we oppose just because we say it does more harm than good. Well, we have much more reasons to oppose the motion. So first, I'd like to come to the clash about legitimacy, whether this for legitimate foreign policy tool or not. Well, the only thing that the affirmative team has been saying from the start of the debate until now is UN's rules that if the government of that country is violating its own people's rights, then other country has the rights to interfere in. Well, we agree. This is the UN's rules. But at the same time, UN has rules to protect its own to protect our government from being interfered by others' government. The rules that they're talking about only happen when the government violated its people's rights. But we have proven that even with the internet being censored, the peoples in that country will still have freedom of speech. Therefore, the people in those countries are not violated, and so other countries just cannot jump in and try to circumvent the internet censorship from those oppressive regimes. We say that this is not legitimate because the countries trying to do this policy does not do it in an official way. They are trying to circumvent the internet censorship. They break the laws of the countries, of the oppressive regimes, and they do it in a sneaky ways by equipping peoples in those countries with tools that can break the internet. But they don't do it in an official way. If they really want to help the people in that country and really want that country to become more democratic, they can just come and talk or have other policy tools to help the country. The second is that they broke the UN's rules because they interfere in others' country business. So that's why we believe that this policy is not called legitimate and it's not justified. The second clash we're going to come up at is whether this policy would harm or would help people. The only benefits of this policy that the affirmative team is trying to protect is that it will help the people to get their freedom of speech and so they can talk freely on the internet. But ladies and gentlemen, first, if other countries are trying to circumvent the internet censorship, of course they'll be opposed by the oppressive regime's government. So we haven't been sure that yet whether if they circumvent the internet censorship, the people in that country will have their rights. But one thing you can see for sure is that those people are living in an oppressive regimes. So if they use the programs from other countries to try to circumvent the internet censorship, or for example, to say something on the internet that is not accepted by the government. Of course, the thing that the government will do is to find who that people is, to track them down, and to punish them, because that is not the thing that the oppressive regime's government want their people to do. And once they've done that, other citizens in the country will see that if they do such things, they will be heavily punished. They might be put in jail, they might be killed, and for that, they will have no motivation to search the internet for more information or to give free speeches on the internet, because they're afraid to be killed or to be put into jail. And so this policy doesn't bring the benefits that you guys want, but it's directly harm the people in those countries. And ladies and gentlemen, by a policy that is not legitimate and not accepted by the United Nations, a policy that it will not sure whether it brings, we are not sure that it will bring goods, that it will ensure human rights or not, but it, of course, might get people to put in jail and to be killed. We believe that the motion do not stand, and we oppose the motion. Thank you for listening.
Okay, if you all could leave us for a few minutes, and about maybe 4 or 5 minutes, and we will come and get you.